Morning.
I'll be your Vanna.
You're hiding back there.
Mr. Chris, all right.
Morning, Counselor.
Morning.
How are you?
All right. It's 8 o'clock. Let's get the Finance and Admin Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please, Melissa.
Steve Brenner,
Here.
Rick Weinhofer,
Here.
Bill Jenks,
Here.
Dave Reeser,
Here.
Keith Durr will be absent.
Any public comment? Oh, and I forgot to mention that this meeting is being recorded for public, as our president says, consumption. All right, no public comment. We'll move on to cash update.
Cash and investments at the end of August totaled $10,568,000. Is a decrease from the end of July of $681,000, which is expected for the month of August. There's just not a lot of activity. Two pending grant reimbursements at this time, one for the turnout gear at the fire station and another for a quarterly bike share reimbursement. I have not included the RACP reimbursement for the garage construction. I believe everything's been submitted. Do you have an update on what's anticipated?
Special conditions are being reviewed by Office of the Budget. Don't know if they're going to come back with findings and we have to submit additional documentation, or if they're going to approve and pay out.
When that
We
is
expect that by the end of the year.
Yes.
budgeted for it, I sure hope.
So do I.
When that is received, the first 2.1 million will be paid down on the outstanding debt. Any additional funds that we receive will be added to the reserve for all buildings.
Okay.
Okay. Of the investment, 9.9 is held in Pliget Investments. 3 million was invested in a 180-day term at a rate of 4.15, maturing in February of 2026. That was done to hedge the declining interest rates. What it will do for the current year interest budget, however, we will have a reduced amount of interest received because that 3 million is not earning monthly interest. The interest will be received at maturity in February 2026.
Short-term pain for longer-term gains.
Interest rates at Pliget, again, they just tick down a fraction of a percent each month. We are still just above the interest rate that we are paying on our loan. So I don't know if there's any desire to invest any more at this time.
How much do we have to invest?
Well, we have 9 million, but we have a lot of capital projects budgeted
Right.
for the remainder of the year.
So you're saying we're good where we are?
We're good where we're
Okay,
at
all right.
because the
Misinterpreted what you
current
said.
prime rate, which is where the bulk of the money is sitting, still exceeds the extended terms that are projected.
Okay.
Revenues for the month of April, we received 25,000 for net real estate taxes, 300,000 for the other local taxes, and the quarterly cable franchise fees. Revenues total of 850,000, bringing the year-to-date total to 18,788,000. It is less than last year because, if you recall, last year included the financing proceeds each time we advanced on the line as we were building the garage. Expenditures for the month of August included just the two payment apps for the water and the sewer projects. Total expenditures for the month were 2 million, bringing the year-to-date total to 16,978,000. Again, less than last year because last year included the garage construction. On a net basis, for the month of August, expenditures did exceed revenues by $1.1 million, reducing our year-to-date surplus to $1.8 million. That amount is added to the beginning of the year fund balance, We end with an overall fund balance of $11,264,000. 1.9 of that is reserved for future commitments, leaving unreserved fund balance of $9.2 million. When we add in the pending grant reimbursements as well as the open permit fees, our unreserved fund balance with the pending activity is $9.3 million.
That does not include for the Borough Garage, correct?
Correct.
So that would just be an increase in revenue and an increase in our reserves.
Yes.
We get it.
Correct.
So after we pay the 2.1 million off. Okay.
Reserves for the month of August, the only activity was to add 10,000 to the MS4 reserve and to add additional accumulated bike route maintenance fees, so that we end with reserves of 1.9 million. Variances for the month of August, I did update the continued firefighter staffing variance as we maintain the 4 minimum staffing. I also added for August the conclusion of the water project, which is approximately 32,000 over budget, bringing our year-to-date current year variances to 368,000 negative. So we have spent more than we had budgeted.
Yes, question, the insurance renewal, $205,000, what's that about?
That was the overall renewal that we got that drastic increase at the very beginning of the year.
So that's reflected from a couple months ago, because we said, but 350,000 is going up for the year.
Yeah.
That's reflected, that's part of that.
Yes.
That's still true, about 350,000 increase? Okay. Okay, that's a hell of an
Increase versus the budget of 205.
Right. Okay.
By the
Revenues,
way, I don't expect that to get any better next year.
Really?
we've had a lot of claims this year.
We've had a lot of claims and rates are going through the roof
Yeah, rates,
in
I know
general.
rates are going crazy.
Real estate taxes for the month of August, the tax collector reported collections of $5,000, 2,000 of which was received in September, together with 11,000 from July collections. The borough received gross real estate taxes of 14,000. Uncollected balance at the end of the month was 234,000, or approximately 4%. When discounts and penalties are added to the 14,000 as well as 10,000 received from the county for delinquent taxes, the net real estate taxes for the month of August totaled 25,000, bringing year-to-date total to 5,777,000. That is more than last year as a result of the tax increase for the general millage, as well as a small assessment increase. Other local taxes for the month of August totaled 299,000, which brought the year-to-date total to 4,749,000, more than last year, as well as more than the budget. When we look at the components of real estate transfer tax, we received for the month of August 51,000. Yesterday received 56,000, bringing our year-to-date total to 682,000. It is more than last year and more than budgeted. The commercial properties that exchanged during the year are noted at the bottom. Earned income tax, we received 127,000 in August. Yesterday, 457,000 was received, which brings our year-to-date total to 2.5 million. What I see is that we are trending downward compared to last year. So I believe we will hit budget, but we will not continue to carry the surplus over last year that you're seeing. For the mercantile tax for the month of August, 78,000 was received, bringing our year-to-date total to 1,660,000. We are in excess of budget for both Wilson and Wyomissing. Do you know, did they institute the fee for the tax on contractors?
That I'm aware of, no. They were supposed to notify Mark Boyer and I when they started doing that in case we got any phone calls. I've not heard a peep.
Okay. So I don't know that the economy is really booming compared to last year's, so I'm not sure why this year's collections are more. We have no report, nor do we have a lot of information to analyze it. It is what it is, and they take the revenue. On local services taxes, we received $41,000 in August. Yesterday received $85,000, bringing the year-to-date total to $457,000, and very much on target for the end of the year to reach budget. Any question on August results or August revenues?
Do you have any questions for Phyllis?
Nope.
None?
On expenditure side, this is the first month since 2023. I am not reporting on garage construction. It's a big woo-hoo there. Stonehouse, we continue to carry the retainage of $27,000. My understanding is there is a small punch list of items, and that retainage will be requested shortly. Also concluding is the work on the runoff work at the Stonehouse. On the sewer front, under sanitary sewer, there were no payments during August, pending the infrastructure committee did approve the next sanitary sewer application for $74,000, and that is pending council's approval next week. For storm sewer, during the month of August, payment was made for $35,000. No additional activity that is pending there. On the water project, during the month of August, $154,000 was paid. The final application has been received for $17,000, which includes a small change order, and that activity is pending the September Infrastructure Committee approval. Work on the Berkshire Heights Playground during August, payment was just made for bonding and insurance of $4,000. And a change order has also been approved for $22,000 to upgrade the guide rails there. No additional construction activity has been received. For the Berkshire Boulevard Swale project, that was an add-on that was not budgeted, and this full cost has been included in current year variances. That work is complete. We're holding 5% retainage for some grass restoration, and the payment of $22,000 is pending the September Infrastructure Committee's approval. Street work has begun. The bid actually came in within $300 of the budget. So crossing our fingers on change orders, but the first payment application has been received and is pending the Infrastructure Committee's approval in September, and that is for $121,000. Capital activity, in addition to the payment apps, a small payment was made on the library record system, as well as some of the trail work in the parks. Total capital expenditures for the month of $205,000, bring our year-to-date total to $1.1 million of the $4.5 budgeted. That's why I feel we need to keep more money on hand, because there are more payment apps that are coming down the pipe. Any question on August results?
Hearing none?
Okay. Our next topic then is pension. Not quite in the same order as the agenda, but we'll hit all these items. Reminder for the current year, our MMO is $1.5 million. The defined contribution portion is met with each and every payroll. The defined benefit portion is met with the state aid, which is expected by the last month of September, and then will be turned over to the plans during October. The balance of that is $793,000. That's the gap between the MMO and the state aid, and we've been dividing that up over quarters. We've made the first quarter payment as well as the second quarter payment. So if we keep to our timing schedule, the next payment will be made mid-September. So I'm looking for approval to pay the third quarter MMO totaling $198,000.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
For current year performance, I did ask Gerard for a recap, and they gave me a report that was distributed to everyone through the end of June in the second quarter. Assets are up to $32 million. So for the current year, we're seeing an increase of 5.6%. These values are important. At the last time the plan was valued in 2023, it followed a huge decrease in the market. When the evaluation was concluded, there is actuarial factors that affect the MMO. So that affected the 2025 MMO. We're required to adopt the 2026 MMO before the 2025 valuation factors are available. So that's, as a participant of the state plan, we must take action during the month of September. So I have results for those calculations. Bill Smith from Girard Pension Services believes the factors for the 1/1/25 valuation will be available before our next meeting, and would like to come down and review those results with everyone. Assuming those results are favorable, because we followed our downward trend with 2 solid years, we anticipate the 1/1/25 valuation to give us much more favorable actuarial factors to use in our MMO calculation. So we're obligated to adopt what we have now based on the old factors, but then we'll have the option to subsequently revise the valuation. So using the 2023 calculations and the increased payroll value, the MMO currently is estimated at $1.6 million. That compares to prior years after netting state aid against those numbers, increased from $1 million to $1,046,000. So at this time, in order to meet our obligation as participants in the state plan, we need to adopt or approve the MMO calculations.
And the 1.6 is based upon still that old valuation, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when we get the new valuation, we can make a change to it. That's what you're telling us. All right. So we need a motion to accept $1,623,352 based on 2023 valuations for the 26 budget.
So moved.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
So Bill will be here at our October meeting.
Okay.
Present the findings of the 1/1/25 valuation, and then we can, assuming those factors are favorable, we can change this number to a lesser MMO for the budget.
Music to my ears.
Okay. And then these are the individual worksheets that will be executed by Michelle and I. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Were there any questions on the report that was distributed? I took the information from these reports. Here we go. This is the police plan. I took this information to summarize, recap. I added all 3 plans together. So mid-year, we're at, as I said, 5.6%. The other pension action that's required is last meeting, we tabled approval of the audit reports by the Auditor General's office. There was discussion regarding a finding in the non-uniform defined contribution plan as a result of payments to a former employee.
Just have another report when you get to it.
Yeah,
I don't print my report out anymore.
Well, Phyllis is searching for this.
Sure.
I can add that we started contract negotiations last week with Maintenance and Parks Association. One of the recommendations and Chris's suggestion was, as part of negotiations, to request their approval to change the pension language surrounding when a disability pension payment is made. I shared the audit report, the finding with them, and the specific language that Chris had recommended, and they have no issue with that.
So at this point, the reports have been issued. It contains a finding with a recommendation. We've changed, or we're proposing to change the language
Intervention.
to address this particular finding in the future. So it's left to the committee to accept the reports as issued.
Okay, so we need a motion to table, approve, deny the pension plan audit completed in 2026 and the 6 pension plan classifications as shared in the August 27, 25 Finance and Admin Committee meeting, including the finding relative to payments to
There's actually,
one person.
there's 5 plans because the police plan does not have a defined contribution component.
We'll make that amendment to my motion. Does anybody want to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion to approve?
Just a question.
Okay, we have a motion. I'll second it. Questions on the motion?
You okay with this verbiage?
Yeah. I was going to comment as a follow-up to Michelle's report about the CBA negotiations. I'm going to start drafting that ordinance so that it can come back to the next committee meeting. So we have it ready. I know we haven't reached a conclusion of that CBA negotiation, but I'd like to have it ready to go.
While you're talking about amending ordinances for pension plans, it was brought to my attention yesterday, the CBA for the police department allows 5 years for the drop. The ordinance was never changed. And this goes back to, I think, 2013, 2014. So the ordinance still references 36 months. I have the email pulled up that I was getting ready to send to you before I came into this meeting with
Wow.
ordinance 1334. So I'll send you everything, but might as well do both at the same time.
Yes. Let's do that.
So we're good on
Pension ordinance.
Yep. As far as we know.
Got you in all favor.
Is that, oh, sorry. Do we have a motion to second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Here we go. Go ahead, John.
The fire department, vehicle, we had acquired a vehicle, that was not planned. So my plan is to make that a detective vehicle. So I need to upfit that with an unmarked package of lighting, and then transferring some other equipment like a radio and things like that. That quote, I think, is up there, and it comes to the
8,906.
8,906.
And there's, so when you go back up to there's a remainder of 2,000 to 3,000 in grant funding that will be used towards total. So that 8,900 is gross, not net, correct?
That is correct. Remember, what we have left in that grant, remember that
All right.
we will pay towards that.
I think I'll end this pretty quickly. We got a vehicle that we weren't expecting. We need to stripe it. I'll make a motion to go ahead and recommend council approve the unbudgeted upfitting of $8,906 to offset the balance of grant funding remaining for the police department vehicle, the Dodge Durango.
I'll second.
Okay, we have motion to second. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. See how easy that was, John?
Expect a thank you note?
Stonehouse Pond.
Council had previously approved crack sealing the pond at a cost of $27,000. The contractor to do that, Brenneman, was out 2 weeks ago and indicated that it is now beyond the point that crack sealing is going to resolve the issue. And I mean, kudos to him for being honest. He could have just taken our money, no guarantee. Greg met with the Public Works Department. They kind of all put their heads together as to what inexpensive temporary fix could we try that would hopefully allow the pond to be up and running for the winter season for ice skating. They came up with bentonite clay. Kind of found that funny since I use that as a mask on my face. Same product.
Me too.
Same product. Maybe we can have spa days down at the Stonehouse Pond, charge admission. But that's the only thing that they've come up with that they could do that could hopefully temporarily keep it open for the winter, with the understanding that whole pond is going to have to be ripped out and replaced, which is likely going to be an exorbitant cost. No idea, we didn't get a quote yet.
Exorbitant.
Yes, I'm guessing a couple $100,000.
Hasn't our team spent many occasions thinking they found it and patching and?
They never thought they found it. The patching was a last ditch effort.
Right, but they've done some patching.
Yes.
Yes, and never found it. And so what is this?
My
This
hunch is the
$4,000
bottom floor is permeable at this point.
Yeah, the $4,000 isn't gonna fix the problem.
There wasn't sick.
Not permanently, no, but they do think it's a temporary fix, that it could help it hold water for the winter just to get us through that winter skating season. I mean, the alternative is we do nothing and there's no skating.
So how do we know when we're okay for the winter, other than everybody's ready and the leaks? Or is there a test bed here that
The test is you put the clay in, you fill it with water and the water stays.
Right.
Or not.
Either you have wood or you don't. Yeah.
I gotta think at one point, if we do the $4,000, if it is a problem, we fill it up very late after we realize if it doesn't work, fill it up late, let it freeze on the bottom to create its own floor, and then start filling it again, we might have a chance. I think for $4,000, the entertainment value, the outdoors, that kind of stuff, I think is worth it for the borough.
I agree.
So,
Subject to the weather.
what's that?
Yeah.
Subject to the weather.
Yeah, we might not even have to worry about it.
We don't control that.
We might not even
No.
have to worry about it.
No.
The
Yeah.
crew may have to approach it differently this year, as opposed to just filling it up and letting it freeze. Maybe you fill it up halfway, let it freeze, and then fill it up the rest of the way. I don't know. Beats the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So we don't need any motion on this. We're just gonna go ahead and do it. There's no motion up there, is there?
No, correct. I mean, it's within my discretionary spending limit, but I didn't want to,
I don't blame you.
yeah.
So
So
we
let's
don't need
consider it
a,
an FYI.
okay. Let's hope it's cold,
So then
unless it doesn't work,
the
then
27,000 that we were going to spend, that was an unbudgeted item.
Correct.
So how much of that did we have to spend to get it inspected?
Nothing,
That's coming back, the unbudgeted item.
yes.
but the 4,000 will be on budget.
Right.
too.
For a not cost savings of $23,000.
Right. In our mind. All right. I mean, we don't need to vote on anything.
Correct.
I'm looking at the nods around the town. I see some of the nods. I don't see all nods, but
I'm in favor of it.
I'm in favor. Yep. Agreed.
wrong with it.
I'll save lengthy conversation on number 9. I'm going to ask you to table it, as since the agenda went out, I found out that LTAP through the state, PennDOT, will at least do the Lawndale Road traffic study for free. I suspect that they will do the second one, which, to be clear, no council member or anyone from the police department was requesting. Traffic planning and design, who's the borough's traffic engineer, was suggesting we do that second traffic study of Wyomissing Boulevard, Reading Boulevard, and Granby. So I've only talked to LTAP about, for now, Lawndale. Sounds like the chief's gonna meet Marvin, forget his last name, out there September 23rd. Came highly recommended from West Reading. They apparently use LTAP for all their traffic studies, and free is always good.
Just hope we don't get paid.
Is this part of the State Hill reconstruction?
No,
No?
Just, it was brought to
fire and police.
fire and police's attention that maybe it needs some work. We'll find out if it does or not.
So are there any thoughts as to what you could do to Lawndale? It seems like it's pretty obvious. It's a street and it goes from one end to the other. How do you change the street?
I'm not a traffic engineer, so I don't know.
It's not about changing the street, it's about,
That's the skies.
yeah, it's
Not
about,
about the street, it's about the stop signs.
it's about the signage.
But we know you can't have a stop sign just to stop people, so we know that.
You can't use stop signs as speed enforcement or a way to slow speed down.
So the good news is it's not costing us anything to get this report.
Correct.
No, then I guess we don't have to worry about it, do we?
Right.
Doesn't seem to be much that we have to worry about at this point. So we need to table that, so I'll make a motion to table the traffic study with traffic planning and design for the cost estimated $12,000 to approve the study and recommend improvements. Yeah.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to 10.
I think there's a second.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
table both of them.
Yeah, we also need to table recommending council approve traffic planning designs cost estimated $15,000 to study the recommend improvements for Wyomissing Boulevard, Reading Boulevard, and Grandview View Boulevard as an unbudgeted expense for 25 or add the study to the budget for FY 26. I'll make a recommendation to table.
Second.
Okay, any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number 10,
I don't know if this was Jim or Kim. I think Jim was contacted by the owner of 1160 Old Mill Lane who had issues that have been resolved with both the water softener and the outdoor irrigation system. Long story short, we found that a sewer credit should be issued for last year and the first part of this year to the tune of $455.96.
seems like we have a lot of problems in Old Mill Lane. Is that the same address we had a problem with
No,
before?
that was 1180.
Thank you. Seems like they need to work on their shit stuff up there.
And what was the reason, the cause? Their water softener?
No, the credit is specific to the outdoor irrigation system because we know that didn't go
Right,
into
okay.
the sewer. So there were two issues, but they were able to calculate out, because of the deduct meter, what was attributable to the outdoor irrigation system and what was attributable to the water softener.
Okay, so they're not seeking relief from the
Anything
expenses incurred from the water softener?
correct.
Okay.
So like somebody who fills up their pool, are we allowed to come to you and say, none of this went in the sewer?
No.
We need a credit?
No, you need a separate meter.
Okay, but the irrigation's okay to come for a credit?
I mean, typically when you're getting, so with an outdoor irrigation system, you're typically putting a deduct meter on at the same time that system is being installed. And that deduct meter is how we were able to calculate the amount due.
Okay, so there's a separate meter on there.
But we don't have separate meters for irrigation.
Sorry?
We don't have separate meters for irrigation, do we?
Well, it's a deduct meter that is calculating the volume of water going through that irrigation system and taking it off the other water meter.
Okay. I'm lost.
So if you are running, let's just say 100 gallons of water through your irrigation system, the deduct meter takes that off of the water meter in terms of the sewer calculation.
Still pay for the water, you don't pay for the sewer.
Hypothetically, though, someone could get a deduct meter for filling their pool.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm not
Or
sure.
watering their lawn, or,
yeah.
Well,
I
separate,
mean, they're 200,
no, they've gone up. They're around 400 now for a separate meter. So you're saying you just use a separate meter then also for irrigation?
it's not an overall separate meter, it's just a deduct meter.
So for an irrigation, I don't understand this either, that for an irrigation meter, if someone has an irrigation system set up, is it set up just to that irrigation system, or is it set up to Jen's point, I've been watering my lawn just as a spigot outside. Is it lined up to the spigot, or is it lined up to the specific irrigation
I
system?
think that's dependent on how your plumber installs it.
Well, I think we should make the recommendation to have it specific to the irrigation system, because otherwise you could have someone washing their car 3 times a day. I'm being,
so
sorry.
they're paying for
I'm
the
sounding-
water, but it's
I'm
not.
exaggerating a little bit like Ron does once in a while. You get my point.
Yeah.
You know, I've
Yeah.
always been under the impression that there's no relief for irrigation.
My understanding was that was the whole point of having a deduct meter.
Oh, they did it strictly for pool.
Let
It
me
was
see.
done strictly for pool, but I don't think it was ever
It's in the code.
intended for irrigation.
I've actually never heard of one being put on for a pool. I've only ever heard them being installed for irrigation.
Isn't that pool supposed to go into the?
A couple of years ago, I filled my pool.
Yeah, and that, but they're talking filling, not
It
draining.
was cheaper than getting it trucked in,
Really?
even with the sewer on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phyllis
Took a day.
raises a good point. When you empty your pool, you're supposed to put it in the sewer system, not the storm drain. So in
That is
theory, if you're filling it, but then you're draining it, that water is going into the sewer system.
But when you're putting water in it, like through evaporation,
You have to keep adding
you
it.
still have to keep adding water throughout the season. And that water just evaporates. The only time during the season you're ever draining is if you have a heavy storm and you got to get the water level down to the middle of the skimmers.
Or even just somebody watering their lawn who doesn't have an irrigation system, or their plants who doesn't have an actual irrigation system. I mean, I guess you need to,
I mean,
it's all very hazy to me.
I have an irrigation system now.
Right.
And now we had an issue with it, and I had Kim run a daily consumption report, and my water consumption shot sky high for about 3 days. I just decided, well, I got to eat that because so that's going to come on as, water and sewer.
You don't have a meter on it.
No, because I thought it was only ever intended for pool.
Sounds like you might be getting one for the irrigation system. All right,
Can I budget for that?
Yeah.
well, we've had a history of reimbursing for this. If we want to start
Okay.
not having a history of doing this, we need to make it very clear, and I don't know how to do that either. So I'll make a motion to approve the sewer credit in the amount of $455.96 for 1160 Old Mill Lane, for the water that did not pass through the sewer system.
I'll second it.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this something we can table until we get accurate information from the ordinance as to what the guidelines are? And maybe we have it-
In my opinion, we can't, because we've been doing this in the past.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor to approve? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Public comment policy.
The person that asked for this to be added is not here, so I can't speak on their behalf.
So discuss revising paragraph E of the public comment policy to change the sentence. It should members of the public see. Mike, if I understand this correctly, she's saying if someone asks a question in the middle of a meeting, we can answer it. Is that what we're getting out of this?
That was not my understanding. My understanding was if I'm giving public comment at the beginning of a meeting and want an answer from somebody on council, the president of council, the chair of a committee, I could say, I have 2 minutes of speaking left. I'm going to give you my 2 minutes to respond to me out of my overall 5 minutes of public comment.
Chris, have you seen this adopted anywhere?
This, as I read this language, it mandates a response, which we have not traditionally done. I mean, it's certainly always in the discretion of a member of council to respond to a question that's raised in public comment, but there's no obligation, and I don't think there should be an obligation to respond to a question that's raised in public comment. And this policy amendment, at least to my eyes, looks like it's mandating a response
I
by
agree with that.
someone on council.
Yeah, it's comment, not question.
So,
answer
I mean,
policy.
I have no problem with someone giving their time back and not consuming all of their time, but I don't recommend that the policy require a response to a question.
I don't want to speak on Jana's behalf, but I think some of where she was going with this, and I do agree, is we have been very inconsistent with how we have treated public comment. Some people we let speak, say thank you, move on. I can recall at least 2 meetings recently where there was several minutes of dialogue back and forth between a resident giving public comment and either a committee or council. And it would behoove us to be consistent. If it is not a question and answer policy, we need to stick to that, not have a back and forth of sometimes we're gonna answer and sometimes we're just gonna say nothing and move on.
Well, I think when we've had quote attacks made at, it, we just thank you for your comments and we move on. Now, when somebody brings a legitimate concern to us, we take the time to try to answer them because that's why they're here. Or we,
I think that's a slippery slope we're walking down.
I agree with Michelle. I think at that point, we are making the interpretation of what is an attack and what's not. They're not. I mean, they probably are, but we can't prove it.
Well, it seemed to me that it would not be a big deal. Somebody has a public comment, they have 2 minutes left, and they're not, I don't care what it is, large, small, indifferent. We ought to give them an answer that we'll get back to you, we'll have this person do this, we'll have that. Rather than like dead space, comment, we don't have a comment. You don't have a comment. I mean, that's what they're here for. So we can tell them something. You don't have to give.
yeah, we normally say, okay, well, this is going to go to so-and-so committee and, you know, and you'll hear something after that.
Well, I think
So I agree with you, Ron.
I think that's what Michelle is saying. Sometimes we don't say anything. We just say goodbye.
Sometimes we have a full-on back and forth discussion with.
Well, we don't have to
with the
take it to the
residents.
level of a huge debate, but we can figure out a way to have an answer. If you have time left over and they're waiting for an answer, and it's 2 hours later, they don't get one, they feel like that was a waste of time.
I don't think it's necessary to redo the policy.
So Chris, let me ask you this. So the other day at,
Karen, please.
was it the cat, is that where the cats were?
No, that was infrastructure.
It was infrastructure. So at the infrastructure committee meeting, the cats came up again on
Cleveland, Dolphin.
Dolphin, thank you. I want to say Delaware, but I get all screwed up all the time. And the person who has the most knowledge of it was actively engaged in the conversation. I'm not sure that's even supposed to happen. But the reality of it is, if there is a quote-unquote expert on the topic, she would have been the expert.
That person has also gone through the permitting to be that feral cat caretaker.
She actually is
That's why I
one.
made her
She's
the
grandfather. She was doing it, but
But she's, yeah,
That's why I
she's
referenced her
feral.
as the expert.
Right,
But
yeah.
was that on the agenda, the
I
topic?
mean, not specifically, no, other than under code enforcement.
But the property, which is the subject of the cat complaints, is on that report.
Correct.
And she was bringing information regarding her observations relating to that code enforcement. And I think it was within the discretion of the chair of the committee to bring that person into those discussions.
Even though it wasn't during public comment.
Yes,
Okay.
because she had a particular expertise, as you say, in the subject that was under discussion.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's discretion to open that up. I mean, I hear what you're saying about perhaps a perception of discrimination, but I think you can rationally treat different situations differently if you have a reason to treat them differently. So I'm not as anxious about discrimination as what I'm hearing. I mean, I think if someone brings legitimate complaints and we don't address them or even comment or respond to them, I mean, maybe that then builds a case about discrimination. But if it's just, if it's not a legitimate complaint, and again, I guess that's a subjective judgment, but
I will also say that if I'm presiding as the chair and I allow that to happen, there's going to be potentially both sides of the seesaw that want to talk. If you let one talk, you have to let the other talk, I would assume, right?
you should, yes.
I mean, there could be someone who says, we need to do something about these cats, which is correct. There could be someone out there who's saying, I want the cats to grow by 50% next year. We have to let them both talk, I would assume, correct? Even though the one's crazy talking.
We've had that issue with deer,
You
where people have said,
certainly should give them an opportunity to voice a different point of view.
I think the question becomes, how many times do they both get to take their turn? Like in the fire and police meeting, there was a lot of discussion back and forth between not only public residents, but also the people at the table. And it was a full-blown discussion. How many times do they say, well, here's my next question. Well, here's my next question. Here's my next question. And where does that
I
line?
allowed that to go on further because she's the expert about this. We're not as familiar as she is with
Right.
the whole situation. So to give us more insight,
That was me, by the way.
I was gonna say.
That was during infrastructure.
That was, yeah, I'm talking
No, when
about
this
at
came up
fire and
before.
police. At fire and police.
Talking about
I'm talking about
police and
fire and
the
police.
residents
There's
that
a
were
lot of back and forth
because it wasn't,
questioning
it was
about
fire and police at one time.
Wandale.
Not the cats, no.
No, it was more about the streets of Wandale. It became
The parties over in,
the parties and, yeah, it was a lot of back and forth discussion with the
I mean,
residents.
we have to understand, we have 2 shootings or 2 gun discharges in the borough, 1 shooting, 1 gun discharge. I don't know if that's a shooting or not. Shooting a gun in the air, it's probably a shooting, but it's a gun discharge. That's a problem in the borough, and it's gonna bring people to council, and it
Oh,
should.
right.
It should. The problem you have with something like that, and I'm not gonna speak for Bill, but because that's the fire police, the problem with something like that is, John's in there and doesn't want to talk about an ongoing investigation, and they want answers.
Right.
Well, the reality of it is you don't get an answer.
He answered what he
I thought he did a
very
great
well.
job. I thought
Yeah.
he did a great job.
Yeah.
But, the public is gonna be annoyed unless John says, this is the status of the investigation.
Right.
We think the person in the 1 shooting is X, Y, and Z, or we have it narrowed down to
Yeah.
somebody, or da-da-da-da. That's not gonna ever happen, nor should it.
Is there a different item for an agenda rather than public comment to account for discussion? So we have rules around public comment, we have rules around what can be an agenda item.
Well, I think public comment in itself is for, if at a council meeting, at the end of the meeting, they can bring up non-agenda items.
Anything.
Yeah,
Right, but is there something on an agenda instead of saying public comment, is there like a discussion item that you could add to an agenda that would account for back and forth, say, discussion for 10-minute length of time?
you really, under the new Sunshine Law Amendment, you really can't have sort of an open agenda topic. Things that are going to be discussed need to be on the agenda. So that's where this discussion with cats, I thought was permissible because it related to the code enforcement report that was on the agenda. But if we didn't have any active code enforcement relating to cats, and someone came in and wanted to talk about cats, the only place that can happen is in the public comment period. And the committee, there is actually something in the Sunshine Law that allows a resident to bring up a topic in public comment, and the body can amend the agenda because of what was raised by the resident. But, outside of that formal process, you can't just start discussing something that's not on the agenda. And so someone wants to raise something, they have to do it through public comment.
But what I hear you saying then is that a resident could come to a meeting through this formal process. So we'll use the Wellington situation as the example. Someone could come in and say, I'd like to discuss the incident that occurred on Wellington. So if it was not on the agenda, that could have been voted on by the committee to have become an agenda item that then that resident would have owned. So they could have had a discussion seat at the table.
I mean,
That's the other problem. If they bring it up, we normally don't allow someone not on the body to partake in a discussion during the committee meeting.
well,
Which has worked for about 1,000 years.
I think, I'm not saying we solve this today, but I mean, I see
But
both.
we're not solving it today.
I mean, maybe that's something just to add this to the comment policy for another day, where if there is a formal process like that, that might be something worthwhile for us.
Some things I
Look at
have
it.
explored in the past, and I don't know how it is with the way we're set up, but municipalities that are under home rule charter they're allowed to have a separate meeting every month to have strictly public discussion. That they must submit what they want to talk about, and they are called upon at that meeting and to address that council. But I don't think that calls for it under our charter.
But at least for the agenda item today, as it stands, I don't think we're looking to move forward with that at the moment. So it sounds like we have some discussion topics otherwise to carry forward to next month's meeting around potential resolution.
No doubt about it. I'm just waiting to see what Chris says here.
And we've done that, but in more cases than not, when it comes before council, we say, this is a topic we need to discuss, but it belongs in this committee first, and then we say we're going to review it to XYZ committee for further discussion.
I think it's also possible to put something on the agenda, like calling Michelle through one of the council people and say, could you put this on the agenda? Right?
I think agendas are normally finalized just by the chair. Is that correct?
Well, you have 48 hours, right, before,
Well, the
3
whole
business days.
point is,
okay, 3 business days.
the whole point is, if you're trying to give somebody the opportunity to discuss something, it's not like we're saying you can't.
But the problem is if you add it to an agenda at the last minute.
Well,
now
not
you-
the last minute. I'm saying,
3 business days.
but that,
We'll say 3 business days beforehand.
yeah,
Right.
it's not the last time. It's beforehand, right?
Well, this public comment policy thing was asked of me by a non-committee member to add to it a couple days ago, and I said, sure.
Okay, here's the language. This is business arising during a meeting. If during the conduct of a meeting, a resident or taxpayer brings a matter of agency business that is not listed on the meeting agenda to the attention of the agency may take official action to refer the matter to staff, if applicable, for the purpose of researching the matter for inclusion on the agenda of a future meeting, or if the matter is de minimis in nature and does not involve the expenditure of funds or entering into a contract or agreement, the agency may take official action on the matter. So there's a very limited exception. It has to be something de minimis in nature or not involving an expenditure of funds or a contract.
What would you classify as de
That's
minimis?
the problem.
Yeah, right.
That is,
Right there is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we fix a problem by and create another one. I mean,
Exactly.
I appreciate you looking that up, Chris. Thank you.
all right. I'm gonna make a recommendation. We table amending paragraph E of the public policy comment as discussed by the finance committee, even though I don't think we ever discussed really doing it, but go ahead.
I'll second that.
I vote to table it. We have a motion and a second. Questions?
We table it till when, or what's going to happen to help us make a decision?
Probably nothing, and if it doesn't happen next month, we'll get rid of it. But Janet wanted it on the agenda. She's not here. I'll let her speak to it.
Okay. Yeah, suppose she's the one that suggested it.
I'm not sure I was supposed to say that, but
Okay, well, doesn't matter.
it's a public
sure, if you
email.
were here.
It's a public email.
Oh,
So-
or-
all right.
You said she. You're the only one not here.
All right, you're right. The person, I gotta start being more, whatever that is.
That doesn't,
All right, we have a motion to second to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? The ayes have it. Solicitor process. Now, to be frank, I've been trying to stay as far away from this as possible. I have my opinions on it, and I think we're about to find out what those opinions will be, but we have two things that are pretty much opposite. We have a discussion of
Right.
selecting the solicitor for appointment in 2026. And then we have a review of the RFP that was prepared and discussed in the RSP for the solicitor position. We have a motion to approve, table, approve, or deny Heidi Masana, which is my first question, as the borough solicitor. And we have a motion needed to table, approve, deny, recommending council approving the RFP process for the solicitor position. If in that first motion is my question, are we appointing Heidi Masano or are we appointing a group?
That's been my first question, and I've asked this to be changed prior to today's meeting, that any future discussion should be referred to as Misano Bradley as the firm, not an individual.
Are you actually appointing at this meeting, or are you
All this would just go to council.
still go to council, correct? Okay.
Well, I'm sort of scratching my head because I think we've gone over this like 5 times and we voted on it 5 times and we talked about how this would work, and it was going to be tabled for the group that was working on it. And now we're back to approving it without the input of the folks, which includes that RFP. So how do we vote on something and then vote on an RFP after we vote on it? That sounds like
You don't. You
ridiculous.
do one or the other.
Yeah, well, we already talked about doing the RFP, and since the person that submitted it isn't here, and we don't even know what the RFP says because it wasn't distributed before the
The
meeting.
RFP she did on her own.
That's all right.
We never approved her to do it.
All right, but we now have a motion approving issuing an RFP. So we know there's an RFP floating out there somewhere, and it was supposed to be for the purpose of the people that talked about it at the last 3 meetings to figure out a way to handle this, which includes all the issues we had back then, not to go over them again. But you can't vote to approve it and then vote to use the RFP.
I think the intent of the second motion was to put an RFP out to other solicitors that may be interested in,
Well, of course,
not
yeah, of course.
just
Right, well,
Misano Bradley.
well, the whole thing is, if you have an RFP, the question is, who's getting the RFP?
Me?
One firm? No, I know.
No.
No, yeah, do you want to be a solicitor?
No.
I think this should be decided after the November election. We have 4 positions to be filled, and whoever those 4 are, plus 3 remaining on council, should be the ones that make the decision.
I disagree. I don't think we can.
How are you going to do that?
I disagree with that.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Respectfully, that's not, now is not enough time for staff to begin working with whoever this new person, like, we were requesting this be done 2 months ago.
So I disagree with that. Whether I'm up for election or not, and I'm not,
Yeah.
is irrelevant.
Really? You don't think the new people that are elected
Now, because how are they
in
gonna,
November
how are they
really
gonna,
are?
they don't know,
If Chris were staying, they don't know Chris per se.
right?
They've
Yeah.
never worked with him.
And they can't say anything, they can't say anything because they're not even sworn in yet.
So, but we have to get somebody on board who can work
I wanna-
behind the scenes with staff to know what's going on.
So Misano Bradley has, tell me the details are they've accepted the same rate as Chris. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
1 year.
For 1 year? Thank you. I wanted to say that. I forgot. I think Misano Bradley and Heidi specifically have vast experience, not just with this borough, but with many boroughs and/or townships and/or municipalities. If the price was 20% higher than what we're being charged today, then yes, we should have started this RFP process 6 months ago or 3 months ago, whenever we knew about it. The reality of it is, in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion on the board, is I think at the point we're at now, selecting Misano Bradley for the 1-year term that ends in end of December 31st of 26 is the right thing to do, because it's not going to be a budget item. It's going to be someone that has some experience, and then at that point, the 4 new, somewhat new, totally new, none new, whatever,
Right,
people
whatever.
then have the ability of 1 year to say that. And Misano Bradley may come back and say, what Chris's firm was charging was way too low. We need to charge 20% more. If that's the case, we'll probably put out to an
Well, that's right,
RFP.
then council next year can decide that.
Yes.
Was it delayed? Why was this decision delayed?
It was delayed because we had a discussion about hiring someone because we had someone to hire.
It's been discussed in executive session for months,
It's been discussed
Well,
for months, and
council.
the whole point was that it's just not fair. I mean, the person that could probably speak to that the best would be Chris Hartman. He came through RFP with several firms 20 years ago, and here he sits. So, and that RFP was developed by the people that were elected. And I guess we screwed up because we got the same guy for 20 years or 18 or whatever it was. But to pick somebody and to think you can hire somebody, well, let's just do it for a year. Can't do this for a year. I mean, a year, you're in up to your
Rob, we
eyeballs.
can do it for you anytime.
Yeah, of course you
We-
can.
we
I
could
can.
have- We could have terminated Chris's contract at any time.
That's
during the
true,
year.
but you're not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer,
you're
you're
a
damn right.
finance guy. And if he's in the middle of a lawsuit or whatever he's in the middle of, with all the stuff he's doing, you can say, I don't know why anybody would say it, but I don't like how this person from that firm did this. And somebody says, yeah, but I like how they did that, and I like how they did this. The whole point of the RFP was to get a cross-section of who the hell wants the job. And if nobody wants the job, and they're the only ones that provide response to the RFP, then I guess we're right where we are. But you've got Lancaster County, you got Montgomery County, you got Berks County, and you got lawyers all over the place, all fairly competent. And that's where we were going for the last 3 executive sessions. Now, all of a sudden, you come into the meeting, having not been in any of those 3 meetings. and
That's a flat out lie.
Well, I thought you said you weren't at the meetings when
I
we
said,
discussed
no, I
item
didn't say
7.
that. I said I've been staying away from it.
Oh, all right,
Just sort of
okay.
saying-
All right.
Right.
Well, it would have been
Doesn't mean
nice if
well,
you'd
to
been
be
in.
clear, I'm on camera. I've been at all those meetings.
Okay, well, unfortunately, Jana, who had a significant point of interest in this, is not here today, and you're offering your position. And I don't think I want to jump over there and be Jana now, but I.
What was her point of interest? Significant point of interest?
Whose point of interest?
You said Jana had a significant.
She wants to do an RFP process.
She wants to do an RFP because it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Don't you think she should have brought that to council
She,
to get
she
permission?
brought it up right here. Yeah, she did bring it up. and
Well,
there
that's
were
what she's
people-
doing right now.
No, here's what happened. We said an RFP. 2 people said they don't have time to do an RFP. And that was Bill, I think, was one, maybe or maybe not.
No.
All right, it wasn't you, forget it. It was definitely Michelle.
Yes.
I do not have time to do an RFP. Jana Barnett said, I will put together an RFP, which she did. So there's an RFP floating around.
When did she say this?
She said it at the meeting when the other person said they didn't have time besides Michelle. And Michelle knows that Janice said she would do it, because obviously she called you and said, I've got an RFP. Or she just sent it to you.
She sent it to Steve, actually, as the chair of the finance committee, and
Okay.
asked that it be added. The request for the motion to issue the RFP be added to the agenda. That was the first I knew about it or that she had done one.
All right, but the whole purpose of the people around the table, I mean, not that everybody was saying, yeah, 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 or no, no, no. She just said, I'll put an RFP together, and miraculously, an RFP showed up, which, if there's an RFP, where is it? If we read it, we might even think, hey, that's not a bad idea. That's pretty interesting. That would be nice. Let's take a look at it. All the same people that were here during the 3 executive sessions that we argued about it. Now to just say, well, we were just goofing around in those 3 sessions. We didn't really mean it or
I
whatever.
don't think anybody's saying that. Right?
No,
Well, we're not doing what we were thinking we were going to do for 3 months. And now we're changing it just like that.
I don't think anybody ever agreed to an RFP process. I don't think anybody agreed to anything.
Nobody
There
agreed,
was
exactly.
zero-
There's no agreement on anything.
Right, oh, that's the
Point of
problem,
having-
laying around for months.
Right.
There's no.
The-
It's been
When the
Discussed
RFP
once.
was floated around, and that's all it was floated around, a generalized comment from Michelle was, I don't have time to do an RFP.
No, to be clear, when we talked about it in an executive session
Right.
at the August council meeting, I made it abundantly clear with everything else
Exactly.
going on, I do not have time
Exactly.
to
It
do
was
it.
never formally discussed. It was never formally discussed.
And quite frankly, an RFP for legal services is like trying to figure out whether you want white milk or chocolate milk. RFPs are drafted all the time, and you can get 15 RFPs from 15 law firms in about 15 minutes. And then you can read it and decide, well, this doesn't apply to us, that doesn't apply to us. But all these other things that none of the people around the table that are not lawyers would say, oh, that's interesting, or that's interesting, instead of just saying, well, these 4 people will do a great job because we know them. Well,
So we're
What's the
at, we're
point?
at the point where we're at today. Today is September 4th.
Yeah.
By the time anything gets approved, we're pushing the timeframe for this person to become
So,
acquainted with the borough's processes. And
You might as well wait until January at that point. I mean, till council would approve this next week, the RFP gets issued, even if you get your responses back by the first week of October, I assume you're gonna wanna interview people. So till you go through that whole process and potentially have a motion, you're looking at November at the earliest?
so how about if we just get one thing straight, at least for my interest? Are you, as of December 31st, is you and your firm gone, period? We're done, here's our paperwork, all the boxes will be in the front door. Are you gonna stick around till we need you to leave? Not saying another
I am
year.
going to ensure that there is a reasonable transition.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to
Okay.
well, then,
just,
that would buy the time to develop an RFP and then generate, and then they have the people that are elected in November to help that decision.
so I'm thinking,
What's amazing?
to be clear, what I'm thinking is if we appoint Masano Bradley, Heidi Masano being the point, and the rates are the same, I think we have that group can come on starting October 1st. They can get a smooth transition, and Chris can get what he wants us to, not that he's still gonna need to help us, let's face it, January.
Transition.
Yeah, he's gonna need help.
I suppose you get somebody that says, I'll do it for $20 an hour less, then what? And they're.
Then we look at that person.
Well, you can't look at them after you hire Heidi Masano.
Well, no, then it's afterwards.
The
Then
point is, that's why you have an RFP, and part of the RFP is how much you're gonna charge us. That's how Chris got here.
well, you know,
He
the
was
one thing
cheaper
though,
than the last
if
guy.
you read all the state things, RFPs, are not recommended for Pennsylvania Boroughs Association, if you read that article,
They recommend not having an RFP.
for professional services,
Why?
because there's too much involved.
Much.
Go ahead, Jim.
What,
If you read the magazine, it says it, the article's in the magazine.
what do we need this new solicitor to do between today and January 1st from a background standpoint, not attending meetings, but from a background standpoint?
Everything from review our processes for ordinances, resolutions, right to know requests, going into any contracts. I would think they'd want to review some of our pension plans, committee structure. What am I missing, Melissa?
Prepare for reorg.
Yeah, prepare for reorganization. Up to speed on all pending lawsuits outside of, I think Chris Michelle indicated she would be willing to stay on for the Berkshire Mall litigation. But other than that, there's pending insurance lawsuits, other things going on.
So outside of like litigation and such, the other processes are relatively standard from municipality to municipality or completely different?
I would say completely different, but I mean, I've seen ordinances and resolutions from other places that are totally different than ours. I've seen so many different opinions on right to know requests and how they're handled that to give Melissa an opportunity to get up to speed, I would want to give her the time to meet with that person and say, here's maybe the past 2 years of right to know requests, what's been asked for, how we've responded. Make them aware of, we get some standard requests from the same requesters, what the positions have been on those.
One thing can't, I'm trying to understand, I understand Ron's point, okay? But what are the other issues involved here? Of the, you know, the insistence of RFP, if you will, okay? But when you could have somebody in the interim and at any time during council's reorganization and their processes through next year can say, this isn't working out, and then look for somebody else.
I don't disagree with you.
Well,
So,
I think we-
what I'm trying to say is everybody, number one, familiar with Misano Bradley?
No, and that's where I had asked for.
Would you like to have a meeting?
Yes, I'd asked for that about a month ago.
Okay, Rick, how about you? Are you familiar with them?
I am not familiar with the group.
Okay, great. So if we could try to arrange a time that we can't have any more because now then we have a
Could have one more.
quorum. You can have one more person here. And then let's try to get this set up.
my head's about to explode. We've been nutsing around with this for 3 months.
Because you're not flexible.
I'm not flexible. I've been saying for 3 months, we should do an RFP. And
Yeah, I don't
have
understand.
everybody on council, and there's no reason why suddenly this meeting with this finance and administration,
Well, Ron, if I didn't approve Jana letting this on you, we wouldn't have this discussion now.
we were having this discussion for in the 3 executive sessions
So
ago.
nothing in front of that.
Consensus did
But-
not come.
I'm sorry?
There was no consensus, therefore no action.
Exactly,
takes.
exactly.
There's still no consensus.
They're asking for consensus
There
now.
was a consensus not to hire Sano Bradley, but
No, there wasn't a consensus.
No, there wasn't.
We tried to hire them 3 times already.
Right, but you need.
What?
There was no
there
formal
was
vote.
No vote.
You can't
there
vote
was
in
no-
in an executive
agreement.
session.
But
There was no agreement.
the reason why is because we were having a dialogue. This dialogue is the same dialogue we had 2 times before. Now, it seems to me that there's no secret to why finance administration needs to be picking a lawyer. I mean, what
We're
about
not, we're only approving it to go to council.
the point is, there's other people on council that are going to get this, and they're going to say, so what am I doing here? Do I do yes or no? They're not part of this discussion that we're
Right.
having, which.
If we would move to appoint Misano Bradley or not, but if we did,
But they don't have
goes
the
to council.
background as to why some people think it makes sense to have an RFP and then have those people come in here and talk to us, or whoever wants to be on that committee, and then you get a consensus, and now you have, people can say, yeah. I mean, I don't want to put Chris on the spot, I'm not even going to ask him to do it, but ideally, you could say to Chris, what did you think of the RFP process when you were here and got hired? And did you think the questions that were answered were intelligent? And did you think that they dug deep enough so that when you got hired, you didn't say, holy shit, we just got hired. What the hell do we do now? Now we got to run around, hire all these people, do all this stuff. I mean, all this stuff is done regularly and very properly. This has been a shit show for 3 months.
Yeah, I don't understand the 3 months. That's crazy. That's just picking it.
If you want to get an
well, it's never
RFP,
been in front of this committee before,
no,
Well, and I don't know, but you're saying for the past 3 months in executive
in
sessions.
the executive session.
Well, then you've been talking about it.
well, the
But
whole,
we, if I'm not incorrect, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not saying I'm right. A member of the board, Fred, did talk to other firms, right? He interviewed
Correct.
firms.
Yes.
He talked to Kozlov Stout, Barlow Snyder,
So I hope that makes you feel a little better.
As part of this process.
Yes.
Eckert Siemens, which is also our labor council, and there's one other one I'm forgetting.
Dave, the one out of Harrisburg. So, you know, just we had originally in the July meeting, I want to say,
Kozlov Stout is.
the,
Yeah.
Civil
in
service.
executive session, it was agreed upon
unless we
that
can
Fred
release them.
would chair a search,
Oh, okay.
okay? Because he's the most knowledgeable. okay?
No,
Because-
that's not true. That is.
Would you let me finish?
Ron,
No, because
Ron,
you're
Ron,
lying.
Ron,
It's not true.
stop it.
And so it was agreed upon that the committee would be Fred, myself, Fred Mogul,
Okay.
myself as council president, and Michelle Baer, who has the day-to-day dealings, okay?
Okay, Okay.
With whoever that individual would be. Fred interviewed and discussed to these firms that was set upon. It was Fred's recommendation that we use Misano Bradley.
Did you and Michelle sit in on the conversations or no?
No,
No,
no.
so it was just
But
Fred.
This was Fred's, but he brought up some valid points too. Now, the next person in line would have been Dan Becker's firm, okay? Right. The issue with them was they represent West Reading, they represent Spring Township, and we'd have constant, conflicts.
Yeah.
Right, it would be all the time. So, plus, if we would hire them, then we would have to find a new attorney for two of our own committees. Okay, so why jump through those hoops? Barley Snyder never even responded back to,
They wanted,
did they finally? Okay,
they wanted more money.
they wanted, yeah. There was one
They were
firm,
not interested in the work at the rates quoted.
there was a firm out of Philadelphia too, wasn't it? But I believe, or Montgomery County, but by the time they start billing, by the time they slam the door to their car to come here. So,
and there was a search committee that,
yes,
That was what I was trying to get to for you.
There wasn't a.
well, now, I can,
well, I don't know.
There was a
if you were here, I think you were, when that was discussed.
I found out the same day everybody else found out, when we got the agenda for the meeting that took place 3 days later, that prior to that, there was a discussion of having a committee put together for putting a new solicitor in place.
I think
That
that's
was
what
prior.
they did, though.
No,
We did.
No, wait a minute, let me finish. There was a discussion about this committee. When we got to the meeting and the agenda item was discussing hiring Heidi Misano and her firm as solicitors, everybody was like, wow, that's unbelievable. Nobody knew anything about it. And the committee that was supposed to have been formed, we were then informed of the committee was.
That is not true.
The committee, there's notes and minutes of this. So-
No, there isn't, because it was done in an executive session.
Well, then there's still notes and minutes.
Oh, in executive session? I don't think
Well,
so.
there's people that have memories. Maybe it's not written down.
No.
But the answer
It's
was,
pretty damn good, Ron.
I decided, President, that Fred was going to be on the committee. And I said, I thought there was going to be a committee. And your response was, well, we talked about you, but you don't like Heidi and she doesn't like you, so we didn't put you on the committee.
I never
So-
said such a
You
word.
did too.
I said you are against Heidi Misano because from
Because of-
your previous
That's baloney.
allegations.
That's bullshit, for starters. Bullshit. No one talked to me before you put this committee together, which was you and Fred, and tried to embarrass
That's
me.
not true. It was done in an executive session, Ron.
You,
Maybe you weren't here for
we
that
didn't,
meeting.
we didn't hire you and Fred during an
Mr.
executive.
Chairman, I have to leave here. in
So
the
do I.
next-
Yeah,
Next.
this isn't getting anywhere.
I think, yeah, there's various opinions here. I sort of like your idea maybe of appointing her because of the time element now, appointing her for next year, but however, by the end of next year, go through the process and maybe keep her, or you look and can hire somebody else. I don't care.
I would tie that to guaranteeing that you do an RFP process.
Yes,
I mean, if
that's-
she agrees to, if anybody gives us a 20% rate increase, we're probably gonna
Do it anyway.
do it anyway.
Right.
Or if we're not happy with Misano, Bradley, or Heidi, or
Exactly.
whoever, then you can do it anytime.
Do we have 1 year, can we do that every year? We review them every year? Or is it for a full
And you
year?
can do it anytime,
It's not, no time element,
anytime.
There's,
time. Okay, then that's fine. I have no problem with
That's my
that.
point to this whole thing.
Okay.
That also brings into play your first comment where you wanted to wait until the four people were decided upon.
Whoever they
Now the
are,
four
whoever
people
they
will
are.
have a little history behind it.
Yes,
They will have a little knowledge of who we put in place. And if they don't like that person or group, they
okay,
get rid of them.
all right. So I can see reconciling.
That's where my mind has been this whole time.
Yeah, it's a shame that it was pushed back this far, but it's
It
done.
wasn't.
It's done, but anyway.
There was reviews done.
But, yeah,
There were reviews. I think the initial issue was only one of the three members interviewed the individual firm, and only one firm was brought to the table.
Yeah.
Since that point, I've just stated I simply want to meet this firm, and I realize that we are on a tight timeline for staff to get acquainted with them, and I don't think an RFP makes sense at this point. But that doesn't mean I don't still want to meet them, and that doesn't mean we can't do an RFP next year, which I think should absolutely.
Well, that was my statement at the very beginning of this.
Right.
Next
so
year's
that's-
council can do whatever they want to do.
So what are the odds of you being able to meet with them before council meeting on Tuesday?
They, I think they're away next week.
Either way.
Masano, Heidi.
no, I'm actually meeting her next Wednesday for coffee.
Okay.
So
That's the day after.
the
I
council
know,
meeting.
unfortunately, and I know we were trying to figure out calendars and Monday and Tuesday didn't.
Right.
You want to get back to her again and say, can she rearrange her schedule to meet, the two of them? And
I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of need to know your schedules first too, and I can't rearrange my schedule for the next 2.
I don't have time right now to arrange a schedule. I really need to get to find
Okay.
out at the moment.
Okay, so with that insight, I gotta get going too. The second one, I'll make a motion to deny recommending council approving the RFP process for the solicitor position.
I will second that.
We have a motion, a second. We've had plenty of discussion. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
both.
We want to terminate the RFP position. I don't know what to do on this one, Chris. If we want to wait till they meet, we table it and then address it at the council meeting?
I think there's a standing agenda item on council agenda for this. Yeah, we put one on, so I mean, you could table it and it'll still be on the council agenda.
And there's nothing saying next month if all hell breaks loose, we can't put the RFP proposal back together. Can, that's my point.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so then if we table it, Chris, this is my question to you, if we table it and whoever wants to meet with them can meet with them before the council meeting, which maybe they can, maybe they can't. But if they can, we can then vote on it on Tuesday night.
Yeah, this committee doesn't have to make a recommendation in order for it to be considered by council.
So then I'll make a recommendation to table appointing Masano Bradley / Heidi Masano as the borough solicitor effective January 1st, 2026, until such point where people have the chance to get to know that group.
Second.
Table.
So we're tabling.
Second.
We have a motion in a second. All those, do you have any questions?
So Michelle could put that on as a manager report item.
Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We've effectively done nothing. But
I know.
have a discussion.
I'm sorry.
Eric?
That's frustrating.
Well, there was a review.
Yeah, I see, I don't, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
No.
And I